Good morning, everyone. Let's talk about a common name in the US. Actually, the most common name, John. There are 5 million Johns in the US alone. Now, let's talk about a very common family name, Wilson. There are 1 million Wilsons in the US.
And in that statistic, we actually included the ball from the movie Castaway.
Okay. So, John and Wilson. Now put them together, John Wilson. You still have 15,000 people with John Wilson name in the US. So now imagine John Wilson walking into your bank and wants to open a bank account. As part of the regulatory requirements, you have to do background checks. This is a part of KYC and AML check. So your analysts have to go through hundreds of different databases, and each of those databases probably return 50,000 articles or 50,000 outputs because you have 15,000 of them. And then they have to go through each one and single one of them to figure out if that's the right John Wilson to look at or not. This takes so much time. It's ruining the customer experience and costing banks 100 to 500 millions of dollars. You think I'm exaggerating, and you would say, probably banks have streamlined this, but no, it's painfully manual. It takes 2 hours on average, and for the case of John Wilson, maybe it takes up to 10 hours. We have actually done this for one of the top 3 largest stock exchanges in North America, where we actually reduced that time from 3 to 4 hours to less than 15 minutes. Now, what if I tell you that we would be able to uniquely identify this John Wilson?
Yes.
With building a 360 view of him
Yes.
on the spot, and at the same time be able to do that with just click of a button.
Hallelujah.
I'm Vahid. I'm the CEO of AL, and here on stage with me is Sean, my co-founder and CEO of AL, who's going to show you how we do just that.
Okay, awesome. So the subject in Vahid's speech is John Wilson. And John Wilson, there's a little plot twist. He's actually been convicted of a crime. So we're going to put him on full blast. What we're going to do is we're going to log in to our platform. And up here, you can actually add entities. Entities could be corporations or could be individuals. But for the sake of this demo, we're going to do John Wilson. And the country that we're going to put is the United States. We know that he's in Massachusetts. And we only need one other unique identifier. It could be an email, it could be a phone number, or in this case, we're just going to put, we know that at some point, many years ago, he worked at Staples. And that's it. So we save this entity. Then you can run any kind of procedure on this individual. You can run watch list, adverse media. We have a full suite, and it's fully configurable on the back end. But we're going to run a full risk assessment. And so John Wilson, we find him, we run the assessment, and before any search goes out, this is very critical. We have to uniquely identify. It's a very common name. We have to find the right John Wilson. So we find every single alias that this individual has. We know that he goes by John B. Wilson, Johnny Wilson, John Benedict Wilson. Then we find all the geolocations that this person either lives, works, or has worked, and any other properties he might own in different areas. You see here, we found that at some point he worked in Amsterdam, in Netherlands. So what the system does automatically is it starts looking into sanctions, watch lists, regulatory databases relating to Netherlands. Then we find all his previous job positions. We know which company he worked at, what his position was, what year he worked there. And this is critical because if you want to run UBOs and you want to, with the regulations changing, this is going to be a very critical aspect. We also collect all his emails, phone numbers, personal and work in the past 10 years, anything that he might have. And all this gets searched. And we want to look for inconsistent behavior. Now, we've fully uniquely identified this individual. We know that that's the right John Wilson. And now the search has gone out. So now we want to take a look, see if he has any risks. See, our system already says this person's 100% problematic, which is why we chose him. So if you take a look at why he's problematic, we immediately find that he's been charged for conspiracy, fraud, bribery, money laundering, and everything else, basically. You know, he was one of the 50 individuals facing the charges in the case, and this is the popular college scandal that just happened. On top of this, we're also doing news synthesis. We can find, you see our system has decided that 2 of the news is critical for me to review. And we're doing sentiment analysis. We figure out if the article is derogatory. We figure if that entity has been portrayed positively or negatively in that news database. Back to you, Vahid.
Thank you. So the magic that you saw in that 5 minutes is something that takes hours for banks to actually do. And in that 5 minutes, we actually flagged that this bank account should not be open. So just to recap and tell you what makes us unique, AKA awesome. One, the fact that we uniquely identify this individual. We know the cities has he lived in, his age, and all the job history of the individual. We find much more. And at the same time, the second piece, which is all the databases that you saw in our demo, you can easily add or remove to those databases to comply with your specific requirements, and we can even vary that by the jurisdiction that you're in. And lastly, the fact that we are zero knowledge. We do not see or store any of your customer data. It's fully end-to-end encrypted. So now, if you're a bank that these type of checks is crippling your growth and is scaling up, please reach out and go to this website, book a demo, and we can actually show you more, because we can use the same data fragments for personalization of the experience during onboarding, and also we can use the same for fraud detection. Lastly, if you're an investor in the room, probably this part is interesting for you, is that in only 15 months into the market, we managed to be working with 10 of the largest banks and insurance companies in North America. That growth, we basically closed our seed round a couple of months back, $2.6 million, and we've reached our revenue targets this year, halfway through the year. So we are ramping up for Series A. So if you think your dollars bring a strategic value, please stop by at our booth, and we would love to chat. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.